Hello, I'm Will Yeoman, and welcome to the first, it is the first post-Christmas Pod Well Travelled podcast, heading into 2023, and who better to take us there than our lovely travel and motoring writers, Penny Thomas and Olga de Moeller. Penny, you're telling us about detoxing, digital detoxing in Queensland, and Olga, you're going to tell us about Australia's cheapest EV. Bit of a surprise here. So, well, who wants to go first? Jump in.
Well, I can jump in first if you like, Will.
Fantastic.
It's probably a good time of year where a lot of people going into the New Year period might be thinking about doing wellness retreats or health retreats, just like I've done over in Queensland. So just before Christmas, I flew from Perth to Gold Coast and got to stay at it's actually Australia's longest running health retreat. The name is Eden Health Retreat, and it's in the Currumbin Valley, which is in the sort of Gold Coast hinterlands in a beautiful, stunning pocket, sort of just on the border of Queensland and New South Wales. So I did actually have to be careful at sometimes. New South Wales had daylight savings and Queensland didn't, but because we were right on the border, every time I went up to my cabin, my watch or my phone or something would ping to the wrong time. So you had to be careful when you're setting alarms, but I'll talk about that later because it's not really that important. I was there for 4 days, and they run a range of different sort of programs and itineraries that you can do. The sort of norm is either 4 days or a 7-day sort of stay. There is, I say I was wearing my watch before and my phone with everything, but it's a digital detox that you really get to do when you're up at the retreat because there's no reception really. You might get one bar of 3G that doesn't really get you anywhere, but the actual retreat is designed to make you not want to be on your phone. And a lot of the people that were doing the retreat at the same time as myself, they would go and leave their phone at reception, not even worry about it. If you did have an emergency, you could go and contact people, or someone could contact you through. So you're not, left alone. But I kept my phone with me just so I could take pictures and really document my time as well. But it's not really necessary. Every single day there is a range of different activities that are planned out for you as well. You get the program the night before in your just sort of posted into your cabin. And the reason for that is that the organisers or the people running the show really want you to be present every single time you do wake up in the morning. So you can't plan, I think this one looks good. I'm going to do this. And you just have to be like, which one would I prefer? There's usually 2 activities on at the same time, it was something like, I just didn't realise how much you can really do in a day sometimes because I was trying to tick off as many things as I could. And the sort of activities, they ranged from doing yoga or Pilates to doing a boxing class, aqua aerobics. There was pottery, watercolour classes, a lot of sort of meditation classes or courses as well that sort of just make you think a bit deeper and sort of become more in tune with yourself. So I really appreciated the whole experience. I thought it was something that I probably didn't know how much I did need to sort of just take a step back.
Well, this is it. When you're caught up in everything, you don't actually notice just how stressed you are or how busy you are. Exactly.
And someone actually put it really well, and it sort of aligns with motoring here, that we sort of take our cars in all the time to get serviced to make sure the airs are all full with, or the tyres are all full with air and whatnot. But often when it comes to ourselves, we don't necessarily check ourselves in for a service anywhere. So that was something that I sort of took away, and it was wonderful just to exercise and you get fed breakfast, lunch and dinner and morning tea and afternoon tea, and everything's just whole food. It's all gluten-free. They did have meat, but they also had a lot of vegetarian options. And the food was definitely worth writing about because it was just really well done and delicious, especially going into the retreat. I like food a lot, so I didn't know what to expect, but I was blown away by the standard.
Really? Wow.
You're eating healthy, you're doing lots of exercise, you're also doing things to challenge, I guess, your mental state. And at night, you just plonk straight to bed, and the next morning they ring this bell at 5:55 a.m. So that's what I mean. You don't really need to set any alarms or anything like that. You don't need to get up. You can choose to go as many or as little activities throughout the day. And you can just put on a thing outside your door if you don't want to be disturbed. But because I was there for work, I really gave it a hot crack, everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even went on a flying fox, which was quite terrifying. But there's a great photo that I'll show you guys. It's you can tell that I don't really enjoy being up high and jumping off things. So it was good to test myself though. And I guess the other thing that they are also really well known for is their treatments and spa offerings, which they are an additional cost on top of what you were already paying at the retreat, but totally worth it. I had a deep tissue massage and a kahuna massage, which is a Hawaiian style 2-hour sort of massage, and it was phenomenal. But what really makes it amazing is the staff that they've selected there, and the spa treatment staff in particular. I feel like they're just a different caliber of people that are spiritually inclined, but they're also really in touch with what they're doing. Some of them have been there for like 16 years. Like this place, it really holds on to their staff as well, which I think is a testament to how well they're doing. The fact that people want to be there and continue to show up for work every day and are so passionate about it. It was really nice to see. And then the group in itself of the people coming to attend the retreat, all walks of life really come, and it was fascinating for me. You sort of start off not knowing anyone, but you feel like a connected sort of school group or family in the end. It was really nice. And I guess it's not the cheapest retreat to do. I'm sure, as you would expect, all those offerings, they come at a cost. For a 4-night stay, or it's actually a 5-night that I did, but it was a 4-day experience. It's from $3,200, and then if you do the 7-night, it's $5,500. Sorry, the 7-day is $5,500.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So if there are other more expensive retreats out there, and there are cheaper, but yeah, in terms of this one, it was a really good offering I found, and I am definitely feeling $1 million after this, so I have no complaints.
And is there anything you learned while you were there that you think you'll carry on doing or carry through into your everyday life now that you're back?
Yes, definitely. Just being in tune with what you're eating. There was a lady who did a quick sort of health and food call or talk to us, and she was really insightful. I guess monitoring how you're feeling after you're eating different foods. Do you feel sluggish, and then how do you take them out to then perhaps feel better? And then there was another fantastic movement course that we did late one night, but it's about the brain changing movement. So it's all about just moving your body and doing little exercises, which are really easy to do, and it's achievable for everyone. But the entire cohort of people were just blown away with how intelligent and well she sort of explained things for us, and how we were all really just feeling like, wow, necks are so much better. I'm someone that can get caught huddled over a computer. Yeah, sure. And just about moving your body and making sure your brain knows is aware of how everything is moving, because that's when injuries can happen if you're not doing those exercises regularly. So yeah, there was lots of really fantastic and wonderful programs entwined into their daily sort of itinerary, which I think you could enjoy, everyone would enjoy and get something out of. And especially if you're not inclined to have any treatments, there's plenty to do within the day. So with the spa, you do get treatments put into your cabin each night that says a time, and you should prioritise them. But if they do clash with a specific activity, you can go and speak to the spa people and see if you can move things around. But I would definitely recommend it. It was one of those things that I didn't realise how much it was, that I really needed it just to relax and sort of get back into your own rhythm again. And it's amazing to see that a lot of the people that were attending the retreat, that was their second, third, there was even one lady that's done it 4 times, and it's just their happy place, and they just really need it sometimes, especially at this time of year. It was really rewarding, but you can really do it at any time.
Oh, it sounds fantastic, Olga. Does that sound appealing to you?
It does sound very appealing to me, especially this time of year, exactly.
But you've been busy zipping around in an MG, so tell us all about that.
I have been busy zipping around in an MG, and an MG ZS EV, which is...
How many letters of the alphabet can you fit in?
Exactly. So that is Australia's cheapest electric car.
Right.
It's certainly not a cheap car by the standards of how much.
So the price tag is.
Well, the price tag, it's you're looking at $44,990. So just under 45,000 drive away nationally.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is for the base MG ZS EV Excite model. Which has fewer features than the range-topping Essence, and that is sitting just under 49,000.
Which is getting closer to what you'd normally expect to pay for a reasonably good
Yes.
EV.
So the thing you have to, what MG has gone and done in order not to be outdone by the incoming BYD Atto 3, which is its closest competitor.
Right, okay.
It shaved $2,000 off the price of its entry model. So In doing that, it misses out on some largely creature comforts, but there's a few driver aids that are pretty much standard in cars these days. So you don't get front and rear parking sensors. You do get the front and rear camera, but you don't get the sensors that sort of beep when you're too close to something. Neither do you get the automatic rain wipers, which may or may not be important. I mean, it's easy enough to put on the wipers, but just keep in mind that these things are pretty much standard on cars these days. So you are sacrificing some driver and safety features to get into that sort of price range. So in terms of an EV, okay, so let's weigh up what you get with Australia's cheapest EV. I think if you're wanting to get into an EV at any price, this is certainly worth looking at. It certainly has an ANCAP 5-star rating. That's the first thing I look for, so you do get that. Look at the range. Okay, this has got 320 kilometres as a comparison. The Tesla Model 3 has 491 kilometres of range, but again, you're looking at about $27,000 more drive away for that.
Yeah.
So 320 kilometres of range you're getting with the MG ZS EV. How does that work out in terms of your travel needs? Well, work out your daily travel. I think if you're just going shopping, picking up the kids from school, running a few errands, you're probably not going to be doing more than 50 kilometres a day. So you could probably go for maybe 3 days before you recharge. Taking into account that air conditioning, of course, will eat into your range, and you certainly don't want to drop below 50% range if you're topping up at home, because it's going to take you at least 12 hours. That's at 50% to get to 100% using just a single phase 2.2 kilowatt power supply, which is what I had. So I got down to 40%, plugged it in, and then honestly, at this time of year, it's almost slower than watching the grass grow because it was just so slow. It was frustrating that I ended up going down to RAC headquarters in West Perth and plugging into the DC charging station there, 350 kilowatts, and that got me up to 85% within about, 40 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
So look, just keep that in mind. It's really something that you need to plug in every day like you do your phone, ideally, so you don't drop too much, because otherwise if you drop down to zero, and you wouldn't, because that's just running a car on an empty fuel tank.
No, of course.
But you're looking at about 25 hours to top up at home, and I don't think that is particularly realistic if you're using the car every day. So I had, as I said, I've had the Excite, that's the base model. The Essence, I should imagine that the build is still similar in terms of the actual construction of the car, the platform. The issue for me with this car, and I should imagine the Essence would still be the same, but you'd probably need to test drive both, was the high-pitched whistling, whining sound when accelerating. More so at lower than higher speeds, and you may or may not be bothered by it. I'm checking with MG at the moment if this is the electric vehicle, sort of the acoustic sound system, which some of them do have activated, because obviously an electric vehicle is silent, so that is an issue for blind people in particular. Crossing roads, you can't hear the car coming. A lot of cars don't have it activated at the moment. I believe MG does. Certainly a previous plug-in MG I had did have it activated. It may be this, as it's called, the AVAS, the acronym, or the VES system, but really, if it is that, it's not something you want to hear in the cabin.
No, exactly.
And so not something I want to hear in the cabin. It didn't seem to bother my passengers. It's not a huge issue if you're having a conversation or if you've got the music up, But if you haven't, it's just constantly there, and I found it irritating. And it's certainly not something you get on other EVs. I've been in the Kia EV6, the Hyundai Ioniq 5. I'm in the Genesis GV70 at the moment, and you certainly do not get any whistling or whining sound. That is not something you should expect with an EV. My passenger said, that's just because you're in an EV. Well, no, it's not, because you don't have to have that sound, and other cars do not have it.
So if you want to hear whistling and whining, you just come into the work every day.
Into work every day, exactly.
And you hear whistling and whining going on there.
Well, exactly.
But actually, sorry, Olga, to interrupt, but you haven't actually mentioned the actual drive experience. Just basically, what's the handling like? What's it like to drive?
Look,
as
the
a car?
handling, as a car, it handles well in terms of, EVs have got fantastic acceleration. There's no gears, fantastic torque. It's got good acceleration, holds the road relatively well. There's eco, normal and sport mode. I always like sport mode. It's just a lighter, more lively ride than eco or normal.
Okay.
Of course, again, you're using up more range in that case. Look, it's quite a nice drive. Fair bit of wind noise on the freeway going at 100 to the point of being uncomfortable. So again,
Wow.
I think it could be an issue with the cabin insulation. But at this price point, this is what you're getting,
This is
really.
what you get, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And again, I reiterate, it's not a cheap car, because you can get into the MG3 Core, for example, for under 19,000 drive away. So depends what your priorities are. If you're wanting to do the right thing for environmental reasons, then yes, by all means, consider this. I don't think it would be a very comfortable ride going to Margaret River, for example, but again, it just depends on what you expect from your car. But if you want, I think, something to get around the city, do your chores, your errands, then, yeah, it certainly sort of works as an EV.
So, I'm not across the whole second-hand EV scene and what the pitfalls are, but would someone who's wanting to get into EVs maybe be better off to get a look at the second-hand?
There is a second-hand EV market. There is actually a website. I think it's called the Good Car Company.
Okay.
I'd need to check that.
Sure.
That does have, it's online, but they will have a car brought across to Western Australia. I think they're based in either Melbourne or Sydney.
Right.
Yes, look, that is an option. My concern there would be the battery life.
The battery, of course, yeah.
Because normally EVs will have a battery warranty. Look, the most I've seen is 8 years, which is often a year more than the maximum car warranty that you get. I'm off the top of my head, I don't know whether it's 7 or 8 years on the MG ZS EV. I'd be very wary, because I'm not sure what the battery life would be. I'm sure it is probably checked, but I don't know whether it still falls within the original warranty or whether the company supplying the car gives you an additional warranty. That is a consideration.
So forgive my ignorance, but you can't just replace batteries like you can with car batteries?
Well, I think it is possible on some cars, and certainly you can replace cells, or because it doesn't necessarily mean you have to replace the whole battery.
Sure.
If there's a problem, it can be tested, and maybe a configuration of cells needs to be replaced. Certainly
Right.
Hyundai does that, or can do that. With replacing the whole battery, possibly yes, but I don't know what the cost would be there.
Okay.
And certainly it would be more than a couple of $100s. There was that incident of somebody in a Tesla having to replace a battery, and it ended up being so much that that they just set the car on fire, apparently, out of frustration.
Yeah.
That was in the US, of course, not here. So look, that is something, if you are buying a second-hand EV, look carefully at the battery. It also depends on how the battery has been charged, and certainly using DC chargers, 350 kilowatt DC chargers on a regular basis is probably not the best for the battery. And the owner manual on the MG ZS EV does say that at least once a week you need to put it on a sort of a 9-hour slow charge.
Right, okay.
That may be, either with a wall box at home or just plugging into a power point. But zapping it all the time is not great for the battery.
Yeah, okay.
And ideally, as with a phone battery, you'd really want to keep it between 30 and probably 80 to 85%
sure.
in that range.
Yeah.
Because falling below 30%, going over 85%, certainly with phones, apparently, and I don't know if this is actual or not, does tend to wear the battery down faster.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I'm just experimenting with my new phone and charging it only to 85%.
Yeah, I've
rather
actually
than
heard
100.
between 30 and 80, as you say,
Yes,
roughly.
because it has
is
a certain
good.
number of
It's got a life to it, exactly.
A life to it.
Yes.
I'll just see how it goes in a year or two and whether it's still at 100% battery capacity doing that.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I have been told.
These cars, the same kind of
Same sort of thing, yeah. So ideally keep it between 30 and 85% and ideally plug it in every night. Just keep the range up, because the other issue with using a public charging station is often, often they are in use. So you may have to come back. If you're out of range, you may not have the option of coming back, so you may have to hang around for an hour.
Yes.
And that certainly happened to me at RAC headquarters. I had to go back at 10 o'clock at night because it was just in use all day on the Saturday that I went. And also, sometimes they're either offline or waiting for parts or just, vandalised. So you really don't want to get down to some critical level where you're just desperate to charge. So keep it topped up at home. I think that's what most people do, and it's a pretty effortless sort of car to have in that case.
Well, there we go. Shall we finish by asking both of you what your highlight was for 2022? Highlight in travel.
I would say I think Kangaroo Island was a real highlight for me.
Okay.
It blew my mind how beautiful it was all in one place. So yeah, that would definitely be for me.
And we did talk about that on the pod not that long ago, actually.
Yeah.
No, lovely. Okay, Olga.
My motoring highlight for
motoring or travel or both.
Oh, if it was a combined motoring and travel highlight, it would have to be going to through country Victoria with Audi on the launch of the SQ7 and the SQ8.
Right.
In particular, driving the SQ, I can't remember if it was the 7 or the 8 with the dynamic package, which really just defied physics going around bends and corners because it adjusts the torque. So there's virtually no body roll in what is otherwise a fairly big SUV. In terms of just straight motoring, I think it must have been the Ram 1500 Laramie driving that around.
Right.
I felt really in my element in that.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being on the pod, particularly for the first one for 2023. We look forward to more great stories as the year progresses.
Thanks, Will.